Quick here. And so because we are recording, we just ask that you hold your questions until the end. And then you'll be able to unmute or put your questions in the chat to be able to participate. So again, thanks for joining us. And I'm going to turn it over now to Kathy Hollow with Transportation.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Catherine Hollow. I am the city traffic engineer, and I'm here this afternoon to talk to you about some proposed speed limit changes on 4 of roads in Tempe. So just to kick it off, this is why are we proposing these? Well, this is not meant to be a strategy to reduce high speeds. We're really just looking at how the roadway functions have changed over time, because several of them have. We feel as though speed should match what's going on the roadside, which of course is changed on these streets as well. And then, ultimately, we're just trying to right size the speeds to match what is going on in the area. This initiative addresses 2 performance measures, the 20-minute city and high severity crash reduction. Just to kind of do a little brief overview, there's several types of speed limits. One is a statutory speed limit, which is set by state statutes. And this is enforceable even if it's not posted. They are 15, 25, and 65 miles an hour. There's posted speed limits that are allowed by the state. They are set by statutes, or local ordinances can set these speed limits as well. But all these speed limits have to be posted to be enforceable if they're set by local ordinance. There are also some special condition speed limits for school zones, work zones, and variable speed limits or advisory speeds. So what we're really trying to do is get some consistency and to remove the disparity in speeds that tend to happen over long lengths. So just real quickly, these are the 4 corridors that we're proposing changes on. And I'll just briefly go through these, and then I'll go through each one in a little bit more detail. So we have Mill Avenue. There's a reduction from 45 to 35 proposed from the north end of the city to down to Curry, where it changes to 35. So we would reduce it from 45 to 35 and have a consistent speed there. We also then through downtown, it would stay 30. South of University, proposing to change from 40 to 35 down to Broadway Road. College Avenue, looking at reducing the speed from 35 miles an hour to 30 miles an hour, and that's from the north city limit south to Curry Road. First Street is another one we're looking to reduce, and we're reducing from 35 to 30, and that's from Ash Avenue to the west end of the street. And then Southern Avenue to reduce from 45 to 40, from 48th Street to the railroad tracks. And again, that provides some consistency on Southern across the city. So I'll go through each one of these and then tell you what our next steps are and open it up for questions. So Mill Avenue today, you're probably all familiar with it. It was a state highway through Tempe at one time, but today it's an arterial street with 2 through lanes in each direction from the north down to Rio Salado Parkway, and then 1 through lane in each direction from Rio Salado to University, going back to 2 through lanes as it gets south of University. There's a landscape median with left turn lanes. And then we also have the streetcar now that shares the northbound through lane from 13th to Rio Salado. So in looking at Mill Avenue, there was several things that we considered as to why we might change it. One, like North Mill Avenue is a gateway to downtown. We want people to know that they're coming into a special area. On the north end, the Rolling Hills project has added night golf and an entertainment venue, which adds traffic. The Crosscut Canal Path is planned to extend across Mill Avenue and connect with the Grand Canal Path. And when we do make this connection, we'll have a pedestrian signal. So again, kind of changing the way the road is operating. South of University, the 35, south of actually of 13th Street, the 35 miles an hour will match the existing school zone speed. And then I mentioned there was a streetcar, but we actually have 2 stations on the piece south of University at 9th and 11th. Onto College Avenue, existing conditions on College Avenue. This is actually kind of historical conditions, I guess. Before Loop 101, College Avenue served as a major connection from Curry Road to the north. And there was actually a double left turn lane for eastbound to northbound turns. And this has been modified to a single left because the volume has decreased and the function of the road has changed. So it's now a minor collector with 1 lane in each direction, a landscape median, and bike lanes. Some of the considerations that we looked at for College Avenue was First Orbit just added a section of College to its route. And the city's preference is for Orbit to operate on streets with a speed of 30 miles an hour or less. On this street, there's also a series of horizontal and vertical curves that create a unique drive for residents and something that may not be, doesn't happen on other parts of the city. College serves visitors to 2 city parks, the Arizona Heritage Center and Eisenroth House. And we also now have the Papago Park Preserve adjacent to College, which serves a number of different kind of users, including hikers, runners, walkers, and others. First Street, existing conditions on First Street, it's kind of a minor collector street. We have railroad crossings on the east. It's changed on the west where the road now ends in a cul-de-sac at that new building that's at Priest and Rio Salado. So it has changed. You know, a lot of the land along it was vacant for a while. And then, you know, Rio Salado went in and the road and the lots filled. So it's really kind of changed the way the road is operating today. I guess I already started some of this. So before Rio Salado, it had a more prominent role in the area street system. The land uses are residential and office both. It provides access across the tracks, and it no longer has that direct access to Rio Salado Parkway. So it, again, is a little less prominent, and it doesn't serve as long a trips as it may have before. And then the last quarter we're going to talk about is Southern Avenue. The existing conditions on Southern, as most of you know, is an arterial road with a center left turn lane, 3 lanes westbound and 2 lanes eastbound. There is an interchange with Loop 101 on the east end, but this is looking at the west end, and the roadway doesn't have an interchange at I-10. It just goes under I-10 at this end. And the considerations for Southern was, you know, the way it's changed. Before US 60 was built, again, Southern had a different role in the street system, but it has changed. 60 takes a lot of the high speed through traffic. Land uses include light industrial, retail, residential, and a city park. It also provides access to Diablo Stadium, especially important during spring training. The intersection of Fairlane and Southern has been the site of 2 fatalities. So we're kind of focusing on that. There are 2 retirement communities on the west end, and ultimately this change in speed would provide a consistent speed on Southern all across the city. So those are our corridors. Just a quick little timeline before we open it up. We presented this to the Transportation Commission. They voted to have it move forward. We then took it to council, and council said, okay, you can take it to the public and see what they have to say. So here we are today presenting to the public. You can also comment online, you or your friends, neighbors, for the next 2 weeks. We will then take all the comments, summarize them, and take them back to the commission, tell them what we heard. Then we'll take the public comments to council, and at that point, we'll take direction from council on whether to move forward with the changes. If they say it's okay to move forward with the changes, there's actually 2 public hearings required because this is a change in the ordinance. And then at that point, 30 days after the second hearing, the changes can be implemented. So lots of steps along the way, but we're working on this here now. So, and with that, Shauna, I think we'll open it up to any questions or comments that someone may have.
Okay, great. So if you want to ask a question, you can raise your hand and I can call on you, or you're welcome to put your question in the chat. Michael, I see you turned on your camera. Did you want to ask a question, or you're just, yeah, go ahead if you'd like.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I live at McKellips and College, which is the property on the northeast corner of McKellips and College. And so I'm in favor of this, first of all, of reducing down to 30. question I have, since I've lived on this property almost 20 years. We've had a car end up in our wash. We've had a car end up in the city storm basin, which is on the northeast corner. And we've had a car go through the Marlborough Park Estates block wall, which is on the southeast corner of College and McKillops. And we've had cars that sit in the middle of that intersection and do donuts. And so I'm in favor of certainly reducing the speed. But the one question I have is that I thought there was supposed to be eventually a, what do they call them? A turnaround construction? for that-
Roundabout.
Roundabout for
Roundabout.
that,
Yes, sir.
for that corner. And so, with all of the increased density that's going along McDowell now with all of the apartments, what we're seeing is that the traffic is coming down 68th to College rather than Scottsdale Road because there's less lights on 68th Street than there would be on Scottsdale Road. So that's where we're seeing an increase in traffic. And we've lived on our property almost 24 years. So we kind of have a sense of what the history is like. And also with the bike lanes that are really utilized. There are a lot of people biking down College and using those bike lanes. So those are my comments, and I appreciate very much the opportunity to join your meeting today.
Okay, thank you. And just to comment, even though it's a little off topic on the roundabout, it is proceeding. We have a design that we have to kind of dust off and make sure everything's still current. And hopefully we'll be working, starting construction sometime next spring on that.
Okay, great. Thank you. And that was also a question about the roundabout in the chat as well. So thank you, Kathy. Deborah, if you wanted to ask your question.
Uh-oh. Does she need to unmute? Deborah?
Yeah,
Deb?
Deborah, are you able to come off mute? Okay, we can come back to you. Mamie?
There she goes.
Okay, I'm on, I'm off unmute. Just as the other gentleman, I'm in actually the most northern point, behind Para Club. So Continental and Myrtle area. Been at that property, 16 years. And noticing from the front of our house, those rooms, we can hear starting at 11, it's like a speedway down College. Obviously increased traffic, not against growth. I'm excited about growth, but do agree that it needs to slow down. We obviously won't be able to, City of Tempe can't regulate what's going on in Scottsdale. So that's part's gonna stay at the 35, but I agree with the slowing down. And I don't really have any questions. I think that you guys presented it well and understand the timeline that we're looking at. And just encourage everybody to put their comments online so that we can move forward with this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Deborah, I see you come up video. Are you able to unmute?
I believe I did.
Yeah, there you are.
Okay,
Yeah, good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Deborah Carpenter, and I live off of Southern Avenue over on the proposed area between 48th Street and Kyrene. And I will also hopefully be attending the meeting tonight in person. But I also wanted to say I am highly in favor of reducing the speed, particularly along Southern, because it does impact myself and the community I live in and represent as the president of the Homeowners Association. I notice an increase in traffic. I believe that Catherine Hollow and them have tried to make account of that, and I don't believe that they've seen a large increase in traffic. But what I have seen is an increase in speed in the traffic coming off from 48th from the west. It seems as though people are using Southern now as a thoroughfare to avoid traffic on the 60 and the backups. So they hit that, they're coming from the Phoenix on 48, and once they cross over into Tempe, their speed is well in excess of 45 miles an hour to start with, I believe. And they go all the way through to Kyrene as long as the lights stay, in their favor at excessively higher speed than 45 miles an hour. So I am totally in favor of bringing that speed limit down to 40. It's not going to deter the certain group of people that are going to continue speeding, but it will certainly maybe become advantageous to those who are leaning towards obeying the law. But I also believe, and college and all of the other proposals that have been presented are reasonable. And I certainly believe that they all should be in favor with the public. But I think we also need to consider that we also do need a greater police presence in these problem areas, especially at night, because we notice the street racing, we notice the cars with the loud exhaust mufflers and the peeling out, and on Southern as well. So I think in tandem with the lowering the speed limits, I think also what needs to be addressed is we somehow need to get a greater police presence, be it going back to the cameras, that in my opinion should have never been discontinued, but speeding cameras as well as police enforcement, along with lowering the speed limit, are the three areas that I think really need to go in tandem to make this all happen. But I'm totally in favor of it as a resident and as the president of the Homeowners Association. So I thank you all very much for listening to my comments today.
Thank you, Deborah.
And then Nick, I saw you put your hand up. If you want to ask your question, or if you're covering the one in the chat, that's good as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I am covering the one in the chat. I just had a
Okay,
question
good.
on the speed limit. There was a requirement in order to request that you get speed humps. It was supposed to be lower than 35, I believe, and I know that was an obstacle in the past. First Street obviously is it's all residential now. It used to be all commercial, and they're building another several hundred units on that same street. And a lot of people, what happens at Tempe Beach Park is when they close that down for all the triathlons and all the events that happen there, everybody comes through First Street, and it's just gotten crazy. And the amount of street racing that's happening there on that street, speed humps would help tremendously. I know that police presence would be great, but there's just not enough police to go around, but speed humps would help a lot.
Nick, have you submitted this request to through the city's neighborhood traffic calming program? Okay, so you're on the list, or been talked to, or whatever. We're gonna collect some.
I submitted that in the past, yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nick. And then from Kirk, not exactly a comment, but from years of observation, you can reduce speeds all you want. However, if there's no one around to enforce the speeds, what good are the limits? And enforcement has been lacking for the last several years. And then saying also an additional comment about Orbit buses not maintaining the 25 miles per hour going down some streets. Were there any other questions that anyone had?
Well, I have comments and questions.
Okay, yes, Ty, and Allison will come to you next. I see your hand up. Okay, Ty, go ahead.
Great. Thank you. One of the things that I'm really impressed with the city of Tempe is their outreach to the city, the people that live there. I've lived at College and McKellips since 2017. And it's a very scenic drive. I guess the biggest change to this area is the apartment complexes at College and Curry. As far as the roadway goes, people, have discovered that that taking Curry and then going up College and back and forth is it's a shortcut to go north and south, and you can skip Scottsdale Road. So there's a lot more traffic, going up and down this road. Michael mentioned the roundabout, which, provided it's designed properly, I'm a huge fan of roundabouts. And I'm not a big fan of reducing the speed limit. There's, it's a way that a lot of residents in that area and people who work in that area go up and down that road. As I mentioned, I'm a huge fan of a roundabout there, and I believe that's the solution to what you're trying to accomplish, is a roundabout there. Yes, there are bikers. The walkers typically use the sidewalk. When I'm going up and down that road and I come across a car that's driving slower than me, or at or below the speed limit, they're visitors, or they're people that are taking in the pretty view. But I'm not a fan of lowering the speed limit. I think that would not accomplish anything. The roundabout, I believe, would solve the issues that you're seeing there. I don't know. I'm vaguely aware of some accidents at Marlboro, not Estates. It's the, anyways. So I don't know if there's a lot of car accidents, people accidents. That's I guess what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ty.
Okay, Allison, if you wanted to come off mute and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know why Zoom's not recognizing my hand. My left hand isn't turning into an emoji or whatever it is today, but thank you. So I live on College in Alameda, so just south of some of the proposed changes. I am in favor of the reduced speed limit. I do also agree with a couple of things Ty said. I think it's maybe outside the scope of this. I'm not sure if it is or if it isn't, but I do also support roundabouts, and I would support them over reduced speed limits, and in fact, maybe in conjunction with reduced speed limits. I also agree with everything that Ty and others have said about Tempe really appreciating and valuing the comments of the residents. So my question is actually just kind of a broad question. So when things like this get proposed and then they go to public comment, and I just saw the survey, I took the survey. How does the commission or other decision makers use that? Is there like a quorum that's expected, or some sort of like objective way to use the public comment? I'm really just curious about the process more so than anything.
Donna, I think that's your answer.
Sure. So it is just one factor that ultimately the mayor and council will vote on that and decide. And so certainly that can be a part of it, as well as the information that our transportation staff provide, as and everyone else that might be involved in setting speed limits. And so they can hear all of that, and that's also part of the public hearing, is the background information. I'll include everything you say here and the comments online, and then the comments at the public hearing, and they can weigh all that and make the decision. But ultimately, then the final vote rests with them.
I thank you.
Yeah, thank you for participating. And then there's a comment in the chat from Tracy. She lives off Southern and Hardy and says, "We have so much congestion. I do not believe changing the speed limit will make any difference for people who are speeding. Those who are speeding will continue speeding." And she's against changing the speed limits. We need more enforcement, not lower speed limits. And then Deborah did add in the chat, enforcement is definitely the key, but lowering speed limit by 5 miles per hour will make a consistent speed along Southern Avenue. And then Tracy just added one other comment, also fix the stoplights so it benefits those who are not speeding. Tempe said they have them set to benefit those going the speed. I have driven when there's no traffic and gone the exact speed limits, but don't make the majority of lights. They are set for someone going 50 miles per hour. Is there anyone else that would like to ask a question? You can do so in the chat or raise your hand. And so not seeing any, Kathy, again, as a reminder, as Kathy mentioned, we'll be in public at the library this evening. And then the comment form is open through May 29th. So we appreciate you sharing that as well and filling out the survey. Anything else, Kathy, you wanted to add?
No, I think that's fine. I think I've gotten, a lot of great comments. I appreciate everyone being here.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.